Hello everybody, it is I, You2Cool, back again, and today I'm going to be reviewing Liability. This was an item I got as part of a trade with my good friend Cars Ignite 95. And Liability is an item I got as sort of a nod to something in my personal life. I'm not going to get into it, but the name Liability has a bit of connection to something I've been studying, and so, it was just kind of a funny idea for me to get Liability. And also, more predominantly, I don't have a lot of demo derby racers. All of these you see here are my only Cars 3 demo derby racers. I do have Todd, the pizza plant truck, but that's just his Cars 1 release, so I'm not counting that. I don't even have like anyone else from Thunder Hollow. I just have these guys and like Breaker Boggs, and that's it. So Liability here was a very enticing item. I really like the design of this character with the green and purple. It's very distinct. And so I asked my friend if he could send me a spare. Originally, Liability was in the package. This is specifically a 2020 edition, I believe. Where does it say the date stamp? There it is, M45A, which makes sense because L was 2019. And I believe what comes before L? Yeah, I believe K was 2018. I don't have any. I have some 2019 diecast, but I don't have any 2018 Thailand items. Would be very interesting to get one. Anyways, yeah, so this is Liability, like I said. Sort of going over the item. Now, on camera, Liability has a bit more of a cool green, but in person, it's a bit more of a toxic, like, neon lime green. Very interesting, very interesting. She has this sort of determined expression. Sort of looks more annoyed than anything. And yeah, Liability is a she. The way the demo derby cars are, a lot of them are girls, but a lot of people don't know that, so it gets kind of like mixed up sometimes because I think some of them. I think it was like Broadside, where in the movie sometimes you can spot Broadside without eyelashes, and of course the original diecast didn't have it, but I believe the Thailand version corrected that. So yeah, there is Liability there with the wheel. Mine, for some reason, has a bent axle, despite the fact that this was like a fresh out of box item. I don't know if that's something that happened during transit or if this is just bad quality control, but Liability has a bent axle, which is really unfortunate. Liability is a very similar model to some other demo derby cars. I believe, yeah, Fishtail, Superfly, and APB are all iterations of this specific model, which has this sort of carved out front and these sort of square headlights. You can definitely see it more on APB. I believe this model actually exists in normal form as Todd Crash, and I believe more recently Doug Krankle. Oh yeah, and also the canceled Emily Engine, who unfortunately, again, well, I just said it is canceled. I would really love to see Emily get re-released or released for the first time. She was actually supposed to be a super chase, so I'm not sure how they'd go about a canceled super chase like her or the other like canceled super chase, Miles Axelrod. That would be very interesting. So yeah, there is, again, Liability, number 77. Has these tally marks, which I like. So Liability's main motif is these rockets and the sort of really curved up front here. It's not the most interesting demo derby design, right? Like, I like Liability for the color scheme, but the actual damage isn't that distinct aside from this one part. But otherwise, it's a pretty standard item. But again, I don't mind. I think it's neat. And the rockets got the painted over windows. Seek and destroy. Man, I love Metallica. There is a little stripe, and there's this really good white stain that's supposed to represent like the sort of paint cracking, and I really like that. Because it's also like weathering, I think. Yeah, it's paint cracking from the weathering, and it's really. I love the demo derby cars so much because they're so detailed, right? And they all came out in the same year except for Fair Game, who I'm really hoping I can get, but I'm a little concerned is a bit expensive now. If I do get Fair Game, I really should have gotten him back in 2023 or 2024, but I think I passed on him both times. I was so stupid. Anyways, I like how detailed all of the Demo Derby cars are. Like, each one of them is super movie accurate. I think they might be my favorite group of racers in the Cars series, just because they're so distinct and, not super overplayed. Like, I think they were overplayed a little bit in the early days of Cars 3, but recently they've been dwindling in terms of appearance in the toy line, which is really unfortunate. I had several chances to get several of the World Grand, like, not the World Grand Prix racers, the Thunder Hollow Demo Derby cars, and unfortunately, they went on to be, kind of expensive. Like Liability, her last release in 2022, new in box, goes for like $44, and I have no idea how that happened. I don't think it helps matters that 2026 has no Demo Derby cars being released at this current time. I don't know when we'll get back to them, but I'm hoping it's not a Cars 3 veteran situation where these guys are just gone from the main line for like the next couple years. Ideally, I would have just gotten rid of next gens. I kind of get why Mattel won't do that, because next gens are super iconic, and also they are the modern Piston Cup racers. But I would prefer more interesting items come out than just like, I don't know. I feel like the next gens this year have been very hit or miss. I would have easily replaced a good few of them with anything else from Cars 3. Cars 3 has a really good lineup this year, but it's just bogged down by the fact that most of the next gens they're doing are pretty boring, aside from like a couple like standout ones. At least they're being updated, so they are a bit more worth your purchase, especially if you haven't had them before. So again, Liability, pretty basic car. Was originally released with rubber tires, and I feel like you can sort of tell. But this is not the rubber tire version. This is the Thailand version. That's actually a really interesting thing about the Thunder Hollow cars. I just said technically they did them all in 2017, but a good majority of them were through the rubber tire series, like Superfly over here, who is my only... Actually, no. No, my... No, I have two rubber tire cars, him and Carla. I need to get more rubber tire cars. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about Liability here. Just a super fun item. Not the most interesting in the world, but I'm just grateful to have this at all. I'm really hoping to expand my Thunder Hollow collection. With all that said and done, I shall see you all around. Bye-bye.